Well, hello again. This is Pastor Robin. We've got our next stage of service starter training because we've got some particular things we need to consider during the pandemic. Well, the government's easing restrictions, but the church needs to address some things. And this is the plan that's come up through Lutheran Church of Australia Queensland District, and some of the local things we need to do that we need to be aware of. And so these are some of the things that we need. Okay, there's primary health rules. These are the rules that continue from the government requirements. We need to continue physical distancing. Even when we do come back together, we've got to maintain a 4 square metre per person when indoors. Remembering hand hygiene, so sanitizer is going to be necessary. Respiratory hygiene, we don't want people coughing over each other. Also, singing is a risk too. We need to make sure that people are far enough apart so that when they sing with gusto, it's not going to cause a problem. And we need to remember to clean up the church afterwards. Any touchable surfaces need to be cleaned. Now, these are the stages we're looking at. From May the 15th, 10 people can gather. Well, that's really too small for us to really start anything at peace. From June the 12th, this number will be increased to 20. So that still really is too small for us to effectively do anything. We may be able to experiment with a few things. We can have a baptism, for example, but further to that, there's not much we can do. From July the 10th, however, with a figure of 100, we can do that. I've measured up the interior of peace, and 100 people will fit in the church, even maintaining 4 square metres per people. Mind you, it's only just, so that's what we can do. So what we'll need is a number of people equipped to welcome worshippers as they return. Many will just want to return to normal, but this needs to be moderated. Remember, we are still in the midst of a pandemic. Many people will have eased off on their anxiety about that, which is great, but some of them have sort of eased off in their caution about the whole thing too. I've had a number of people come up to me and want to shake my hands, and that's still not really the thing to do. Now, when we do open our doors, there may well be a number of people we haven't seen before. We may get some new people. We have had new people worshipping with us online, so and also those we haven't seen for a long time. So our welcome is doubly important for these people. So it really needs to be done well. Each person, every person that comes into the church needs to be greeted and directed, particularly the first couple of times, because there's going to be some new things we need to do. So this needs to be done in a warm and friendly manner. We don't want to be too stern, but we do need to be fairly firm in directions. We need to be vigilant, but not worried. Our goal is to keep people safe from passing on any potential infection, but also to enjoy their connection with God and reconnection with his people. So you also need to protect yourself and display good hygiene and distancing. Remember, 1.5 metres between people, 5 feet away. That's where we need to be. A good guiding question to ask yourself, that is, what if you actually were a carrier of the virus and you were asymptomatic, because that can happen. So how can you ensure that it's not passed on? There was a case in America where a pastor and his wife were asymptomatic and they infected quite a number of their flock. Not a good look. Now, regulations are that all attendees need to be recorded. See, it's not just a matter of coming back into church. Everyone who comes, we need their name and phone number. So we have our welcomer card. There'll be a number of these around the place. I'll be printing these off. And so we can take people's names and address, and phone number, their email. That way it's good practice too, because we can we can find out who they are, we can get their correct name and contact details, and we can follow them up. We can send them a welcome email or give them a call, that kind of thing. But also, it fulfills this legislative requirement. Now, social distancing applies. We're going to have 100 people in the church. Now, the awkward discussion may be needed for those who come after the limit has been attained. This is why I want good people at the door, ready and prepared to be able to cope with this thing, because it could be a little bit awkward, but we need to be firm but sensitive. So, once we have 100 people in the church, we're just going to have to say to people, no, I'm sorry, you can't come in, not even to stand at the back, not even inside the back door. No, the rules are the rules and we have to follow that. We don't just make up rules of our own. We want to be right according to the law as well as the spirit of the law. So, may get a bit awkward, but people can stand outside. They can worship online still. We can direct people to the web page, and they can just zip home and watch online, or we can suggest that they can watch the replay afterwards. It has to be sensitive, and make sure you get their details so we can follow them up. It'd be good to follow that up with a little apology and a welcome back. So we're going to have to be careful. Anyone who arrives at the church with cough or sniffles, another awkward discussion, needs to be asked to go home. Now, this is an absolute must. We can't have people displaying symptoms walking into the church. We need to show concern for that person and concern for others. So we're asking them to go home out of concern for others, but out of concern for them, we need to ask that they contact their doctor. So that's another thing. Anyone running a temperature, a cough, sniffles, any sort of flu-like symptoms, we need to turn them around. Seating people, once they go inside the church, we need to maintain distance between everyone. So that's why we need people to show them to their seats, and there needs to be somebody inside to do that. Now, social distancing is a legal requirement. So maybe we can stagger our seating. So there's a bit of a diagram I've got here, those centre pews. We can have one person or a couple or a family even sitting together on one end of the pew, and there's enough room down there to leave a big gap and to have another family grouping or couple or single person sitting down that end. Nobody can sit behind them, but we can come to the centre and we can have another group there, then staggered back to that. So it would be best, as we look at that, to fill the ends first. Once that's done, then we direct people to the centre of those alternate ones. Nobody can sit there. Side pews, just stagger it like that. So I know the back pews are going to be popular, but we're just going to have to space people out, and people are going to have to follow that, because that is a government directive. It's not something that we're doing just to be awkward. Okay, so there's a summary of guidelines for what the church needs to do, what we need to do. We've got to observe and encourage social distancing. Make sure there's the 5 feet between people. Facilitate good hand and respiratory hygiene. Instead of offering a handshake, we offer a little squirt with the hand sanitizer. There's to be no handshaking or nothing like that. And we may need to discourage people from the hugs and handshakes. It's we've got to do it in a fairly gentle way, but this needs to be observed. We need to clean down the facilities. Yes, that'll be done afterwards. We need to keep records. Those records are important. Names and contact details to assist with contact tracing if required. and we need to have the signage. Well, we've got that up around the place. So happy welcoming. May it go well. God bless the welcoming and the restart as we move forward into this new normal, if you like. Okay, God bless.